Fran is my name. I've been married for a little over a year. I have been working hard to win the approval of my mother-in-law, but it appears that everything was for naught. The reason for this is straightforward. Because my mother-in-law approached me and said something like this: "I'm giving you back." What? Return? Needless to say, I was taken aback, but it didn't matter how hard I tried. My mother-in-law drove me to my parents' house. My parents live near my in-laws. By car, it is only a few minutes away. My mother-in-law shouted loudly at the door when we arrived at my parents' house. "Hey, come on out!" Inside the house, there was a thumping sound. My father came out right away. "Oh, can I assist you?" "I'm sorry, but I have to speak with you." "A talk?" "Let's hear it inside. Come on in." My father responded with a smile. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, shook her head. "We can talk here. We're only here to give your useless daughter back." "Useless daughter?" My father's expression shifts. My father's gaze, clearly upset, shifts to my mother-in-law. "What do you mean, useless?" "I mean exactly what I said. Isn't that right?" My mother-in-law expects my father-in-law to agree. "Don't you understand unless I tell you? A wife with a monthly salary of only $500? A faulty product. Defective." "Defective?" My father's face looks like that of a demon. I was afraid my father would go insane, but there was nothing I could do. My mother-in-law, oblivious to my father's rage, continued to speak ill of me as if nothing was wrong. "You know what? She can't do a thing around the house, and you don't make much money." "And you want to return her?" my father inquired of my mother-in-law. When my mother noticed the commotion, she came out of the house. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, didn't look at my mother. "That's what I said," she said to my father. "I'm returning such a wife, so the parents should accept responsibility." "I see. I understand what you mean." My father, on the other hand, took one look at my mother. Then we both nodded and said to my in-laws, "Well then, there's nothing we can do. Let us take responsibility and close the company." "Yes, you need to accept responsibility." "And close the company?" "What? You're going to close the business?" My mother-in-law was taken aback. "Wait, what company are you referring to?" My father-in-law said, a little upset. "You're asking us to take responsibility. It's company. What else could it be?" My father states flatly. I couldn't help but sigh when I saw my father in that state. He is furious. What should I do? I couldn't stop him when he became like this. My father, when serious, would always follow through on his promises, no matter how difficult the task. He would make whatever he said come true, particularly when it comes to me, because he adores me so much. Why is my father so devoted to me? It has something to do with my childhood. From a young age, I was extremely frail. If something bad happened to me, I'd get a fever and go to bed right away. Every few weeks, I'd get a fever. I stayed in bed for a week after falling ill. That is why I couldn't attend elementary school much, and rarely played with my friends. My mother would, of course, stay with me if I fell ill. And because he was worried about me, my father was unable to complete any work, which was a common occurrence in our family. Perhaps he loved me even more than usual because I was so frail. In any case, both of my parents adored me since I was a child. Being physically weak wasn't all bad either. My parents provided me with many things to keep me occupied while I was bedridden. They bought me books, video games, and a variety of other items. My older brother was extremely jealous of me. I was the only one who could be bought so many things. Among them, I was particularly fond of my laptop. It was my father's, which he used for work. Because it was my father's second-hand laptop, it might not be enough for a normal person to use. However, as an elementary school student, it was enough. I was able to draw pictures and play games. I could use it to connect to the internet and see what was going on in the world. I spent most of my time in bed, so the computer was a whole new world to me. There's a world here that I had no idea existed. Perhaps I can make my own world here. It's a good memory that I had as a child. That is how I became interested in computers. It started with children's drawings, but I eventually moved on to the computer graphics. Fascinated by the world of 3D, I began to study illustration and computer graphics. That's how I ended up becoming a graphic designer. Even though I'm weak, I can handle this. With this in mind, after graduating from high school, I began working as a graphic designer at home. However, I encountered numerous difficulties in the beginning. I was self-taught and I lacked any specialized knowledge. Furthermore, I had no idea how to find work. My body isn't in good enough shape to go to work, so I'll just have to make do. It is difficult for me to commute to work. I could work remotely, but I wouldn't be able to work every day like a regular person. In other words, the only way for me to work at my own pace is to take on work on my own and complete it. It's a lot of work, but if this works out, I'll be able to support myself. I spent many days on the internet, researching, piling hard work on top of hard work, but I persisted and more people would begin to recognize me. The same people approached me me again or introduce me to new clients. My work gradually began to take on the characteristics of a job. In the meantime, 5 years had passed. When my work became popular, I breathed a sigh of relief. My father approached me with this proposal at that point. Do you want to make a commercial for a construction company? It was an unexpected request. My father owns and operates a local construction company. He used to build houses on contract, but now, remodeling houses is his main source of income. There were only 3 employees, my father, mother, and brother, but it was a well-known construction company in the neighborhood. Are you sure you want me to do this? If it were a job, I'd be paid, right? I didn't request it because you're my daughter. I'm asking because I believe you have good advertising taste. I thank my father for his words of wisdom. I was pleased to be recognized as having good taste, but more than anything, I felt accepted. My design was later used as an insert ad in the newspaper. I also made a website for the construction company and posted the ad on it. Of course, because we were a local company, we are not well known on a national scale. Locals would approach me and say, "I saw your ad," and some would even say, "It's good." I couldn't stop smiling because such voices made me so happy. At the same time, my ad was turned into a poster. The posters were displayed at the company's entrance and on bulletin boards maintained by the local community association. I can stand on my own feet. I can live independently. I was overjoyed to have such a sense of accomplishment. Meanwhile, my posters were becoming the talk of the town. The daughter of the construction company is a designer. She also creates advertisements for the building company. Such rumors began to circulate in the community. As a result, the locals began to approach me for assistance. Then someone came to see me one day. It was an electrician from the town. "Your daughter is a designer. Can you create our advertisements?" "I'll ask Fran about it," my father said lightheartedly. Actually, the electrician in town is one of our clients. Although it is called a town electrician, in reality, it is an electrical construction company. For example, they install air conditioners, fiber optic lines, and electrical wiring. So when electrical work is needed for remodeling, we ask the town electrician to do it. So Fran, can you do it for me? I understand. They are an important business partner. I accepted the offer. Sometime later, I asked my father to deliver the finished advertisement. It turned out to be even better than I had expected, and the electrician in town was quite pleased. In addition to the commission, he even came to our house to thank me with a gift wrapped in a sweet envelope. He said, "I just wanted to thank you for the wonderful job you did." But it was a young man who bowed in gratitude. He was not the electrician I knew. "Well, who are you?" "Oh, my name is Clark. My father is the electrician." It was Clark, the electrician's son, who came to greet me. He is a college graduate and is currently helping out as an electrician. "So, you will eventually become an electrician?" When I asked, Clark replied, "Eventually, I plan to take over the business. Then, we might be friends for a long time." "Yes, I would like that as well, especially with an attractive person like you." "What? Me?" I was surprised. I had not been able to attend school much and never had been in a relationship. Could it be that I was being seduced? My face suddenly lit up when I thought that. I turned bright red and slumped down like a child. In the end, we only exchanged contact information that day. But it wasn't business contact information that we exchanged. It was our personal details. I had never done anything like this before. I was so nervous that I couldn't sleep that day. After that, Clark and I kept in touch with each other in between work. We would tell each other about the day's events and talk about hobbies, favorite things, etc. It became a daily routine. And we eventually started dating. However, we could not do any of the things that normal lovers do. First of all, I was too frail to travel far on dates. We could only go out together to a neighborhood park when I was feeling well. We were never able to go to a normal date like watching a movie. Another major reason was that our days off did not match. Because I was taking on work privately, I was able to take time off freely. But that is not the case with Clark. Even on days off, he often received urgent requests to repair household appliances. Moreover, as it approached summer and winter, it was not unusual for him to have to install air conditioners every day. Anyway, I couldn't do anything that was typical of a normal lover. But that didn't cause me any trouble. We could always keep in touch with each other on our phones. We could exchange words and send messages. I was always in bed with a fever, so that was nothing to me. We grew our love in this way and got married a few years later. I was to go to Clark's house. Naturally, Clark's parents knew me well, so my mother-in-law told me this. "Just take care of the housework as long as it's not too much for you." I understand. My father-in-law was also kind to me. "When you have time, will you make the traditional pop-ups for me? I'll take care of it. I'll leave it to you, thank you." I thought I was getting along with my in-laws because of this, but that was only in the beginning. Gradually, my mother-in-law began to ask me to take care of various things. "I'm going to be out of town for a while, so can you watch the store for me?" "Sure, but I'm working too." "Just stay at the counter. You can work there too, right? If you don't mind if I bring my laptop, I'll take care of it. I don't mind at all. In this way, my mother-in-law began to ask me to watch the store more and more often. My stepfather also started asking me for favors like this. Could you make a website for the store? What? I'm not an expert. Just something simple, okay? Please. Creating a website is not my specialty, but my father-in-law pushed me into creating a website for the electronics company. After that, my in-laws would ask me to do something for them at every opportunity. One after another, they would ask me to do this, that, and the other. Eventually, my mother-in-law said to me, "I'm sorry, but could you do the cleaning for me?" What? I have work to do too. What are you talking about? You're the wife. Can't you at least do that? Yes. In the end, I was forced to do the cleaning. Once I took on the job, there was no backing down. After cleaning, there was cooking, then laundry, and gradually, the amount of housework increased. I was also made to take care of the store. I can't do my own work. I had no choice but to cut back on my work as a graphic designer. Naturally, my income decreased. But I am already married and Clark is paying for my living expenses. So I was not that worried. But that is not the problem. I think I have a fever today. I was so tired that I finally caught a fever. I told my mother-in-law, "I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to rest for a while." When I told her, she wasn't happy. She said, "I can't believe you'd get a fever over something like that." But she said, "Oh, yes, I understand. Just go back to bed." My mother-in-law said casually and quickly left the room. I might have offended her. I regretted it, but it's true that my body doesn't listen to me, so there is nothing I can do about it. I lay down on the bed. After a while, Clark came in and asked, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes, I'm sorry. Don't be too hard on yourself." "I know, but your parents." I told Clark that I had no choice because my in-laws had forced me to do the chores. Then Clark looked at me suspiciously and said, "Why don't you just say no?" "But what are you talking about? You're an adult. You should at least express your opinion." Clark did not understand anything. If this was a proper job, I would definitely say no, but the other party is my in-laws. If I rejected my mother-in-law, it might cause problems later on. It was the same with my father-in-law. If I complain and my father-in-law hates me, he might say, "Get a divorce." I know it's probably just me thinking too much, but I can't help but think about it. This is why I could not disobey my in-laws. Aside from that, I was sad that Clark didn't understand me. I can't believe he doesn't understand me either. I am all alone in my in-laws' house. Thinking of that, I started crying tears. However, this kind of thing is quite common. I mustn't lose. I steeled myself. After that, when the fever resided, my mother-in-law again asked me to run errands for her. I reduced my own workload and complied with her requests as much as I could. In this way, I tried to gain the favor of my parents-in-law. One day, after all this had happened, my mother-in-law suddenly asked me something like this. "Fran, how is your work going?" "Well, I'm continuing little by little." "Yes. How much money do you earn now?" "Huh? That's none of your mother-in-law's business, is it?" "It does matter. Prices have been going up lately, and if you could just give me some money for living expenses." She was grinning. "As far as I can see, the electrician's business has not gone away. Rather, as prices have risen, more and more people are looking for energy-efficient home appliances. Thanks to this, the job, such as air conditioner installing, is even increasing. We are sometimes asked by the major electronics retailers to provide support, and if anything, her income should be increasing." That is what I thought. However, my mother-in-law hinted that she did not have enough money to make ends meet. Feeling a little strange, I told her a smaller amount. My income is also tight. I also have housework, so right now my monthly income is about $500. "What? $500? "Yes. $500 a month is not so bad if you think of it as a part-time job," I thought. My mother-in-law suddenly turned red and said, "Only $500? And you don't even do much housework." "I think I do a fair amount of housework." "That's not true. I do all the cooking and cleaning these days. I even take care of the store and do the laundry when my mother-in-law is not around." As I was thinking about this, my mother-in-law said to me, "Wait a minute, I'll go talk to your father," and ran to my father-in-law. A few minutes later, my mother-in-law came back with my father-in-law and said to me, "Come with me." I said, "What? Where?" "Your parents' house." "My house? I'm returning you." That's what my mother-in-law said. After that, I was forcibly taken to my parents' house, where I was told in front of my father that I would be returned. In response, my father just now said, "I'm going to close my own company." As I was dreading what to do, my mother-in-law smiled and said, "You want to close your company? Do you mean your construction company? Is that what you're talking about?" "Yes, there is no other company for me," my father responded with a thin smile. Then my father-in-law sighed and said, "You're going to destroy the construction company and eliminate our electrician's business, aren't you?" "If that's the case, what then?" "I'm sorry, but we have other clients besides you. There are tons of electrician jobs out there. Then it's okay for me to take responsibility for my daughter and shut down my own construction company, isn't it? Suit yourself. It's no use trying to coerce me into collapsing together. In the end, my father-in-law yelled and left. My mother-in-law also told me, "You useless wife, you don't have to come back." I was left in a daze. Is everything alright, Fran? What should I do, Dad? He said so many hurtful things. Wouldn't it be better to get a divorce? Yeah, I guess so. However, Clark might come for me. The most important thing is for Clark to love me, even if my in-laws don't. That's what I thought. However, Clark did not come for me, no matter how long it took. After a few days passed, I finally received a message from Clark with only one word: "Let's get divorced." I wasn't convinced. I kept sending messages to Clark, but he never responded. Clark's lawyer called me. "I heard that Clark's parents have persuaded him to divorce you." I could not say anything. I agreed to the divorce. I accepted the alimony and other conditions that Clark offered. Thus, my marriage, which lasted less than a year, came to an end. At the same time, my father's construction company also closed its doors. However, it did not stop completely. In fact, my brother took over my father's construction company. The location and name of the construction company are the same. The only difference is that he has cut ties with Clark's family business. Naturally, this hit Clark's family business hard. Still, Clark's family has other clients, so they seem to be managing somehow. However, they did not seem to be safe. Especially, returning me became a big rumor among the town. Gradually, Clark's family began to be avoided, and more requests were made to the electrician's company that my brother had partnered with. This continued, and finally it was rumored that the business was going under. My father said, "This will teach him a lesson." That was what my father said, and my mother and I thought so too. But one day, the wind suddenly changed. It was the summer of the following year. I was in the office of my brother's construction company when we received this phone call. "Excuse me, the air conditioner seems to have broken down." It was from someone whose house my brother had remodeled. When my brother went to check on him, he found that the outdoor unit of the air conditioner had been broken. That's terrible, even for a prank. He consulted with the family and immediately reported to the police. The brother then contacted his electrician partner and had the air conditioner replaced. But if this had been the only case, the police might have been able to deal with it as a prank. But the same thing happened again and again. When this happened, as expected, my brother's construction company alone could not handle the situation. The story goes that the affected people reluctantly asked Clark's family to help. Then my ex-father-in-law grinned and said, "We are receiving more and more similar requests, and the fee will be charged at a premium. Is that okay with you?" He said that the number of people in need was increasing. It was unacceptable to charge more for repairs just because the number of people in need was increasing. I was furious, but it had nothing to do with me. There was nothing I could do. I just had to give up. But my brother was different. "I'll find the culprit," he said, and asked for the cooperation of several of his clients. I wondered what he was going to do, but what he did was very simple. He lent them an intercom for free. "Why an intercom?" I asked. He said, "Intercoms nowadays have a video recording function. Some have sensors, so they can be used in place of security cameras. I don't think it will be that easy." I was skeptical, but within 3 days, the culprits were caught. Moreover, it was Clark's parents who were caught. They said that in the middle of the night, his parents broke into the house and went around destroying the air conditioners. They were making their own work for themselves because they lost clients. When questioned by the police, they confessed to such selfish motives. When I heard this, I was reminded of the term mutual collapse. If my father quit the construction business, Clark's business would be in jeopardy. Perhaps my ex-father-in-law knew this and used the word mutual collapse. At any rate, the arrest of his parents-in-law triggered the collapse of Clark's family's electronics shop. Apparently, Clark then started working at a demolition job site to pay for the damage. One of the electricians who worked at my brother's construction company told me that he saw him there. But I don't care. I sympathize with him, but I don't want to get involved anymore. Besides, I am happy now. I work as a graphic designer and also look after the store at my brother's construction company. I can work at my own pace, and best of all, I don't have nagging in-laws. There is one problem though. My father is retired. He asks me, "Are you tired? Are you okay?" He's always around talking to me. "If you're so bored, why don't you get a job too? I think it's cooler to have a working dad." As soon as I said that, my father started working again at my brother's construction company. It seems that my father loves me after all, but I love my father too, so we are even.